Welcome to the TikTok podcast. The clock is always ticking, so let's synchronize our watches and dive in. I'm your host, Callie Brigham, and I'm here to help you make time for what matters. Hey friends, welcome to our second in a series all about spring cleaning. It's been so fun this last week to watch so many of you set your timers, send me pictures, before and afters, picking out different zones, different areas of your home, and getting after it with some spring cleaning. How does it feel? It feels awesome, doesn't it? Purging, making space for clear thoughts and clean environments. So, how did you do? Did you take the challenge? You'll have to check our TikTok tribe to see who our winner is of the donation bin from my girl Emily, the Organized Home Mindset. But I hope that you enjoyed it. It's always better doing things together, and that's why we're doing this. So that's why we're having this spring cleaning series, so we can just knock out some areas that sometimes we just need a little nudge. We just need somebody to say, okay, girl, it's time. It's that season. Let's go for it. Okay. Now, today's going to get probably pretty personal, honestly. And I really don't know how else to be. I'm just going to be honest with that too. I don't know how to not be transparent. And sometimes obviously I tell a lot of stories about myself and about my family and about my friends. So watch it. If you're my family or friend, there's going to come a time when I'm going to tell a story about you. I could probably tell a little story about spring cleaning with my college roommate, Tammy. I know she listens. She always sends me messages. We're so different, which is why we get along. It's the you complete me, right? And I will just say in college, it just worked really well for me to have my space and her to have her space. And it was fine. It did not bother me what her space looked like as long as she didn't think I was uptight with my space. And it just worked out great. Okay. Hey, Tammy. See, telling stories. But I'm actually going to get really, really personal and raw with today's spring cleaning episode. You're like, my word, what are you going to talk about? Are you getting scared? It's fine. It's good. Today is actually going to be about spring cleaning our calendars. See, that doesn't sound scary at all. But we're going to play a little game, and I'm going to use some props. And if you're watching on YouTube, you'll be able to see a little bit, but it's fine if you're listening wherever you listen. You won't miss out much at all. And so we're going to spring clean our calendars, which for some people, you're like, oh, thank goodness. I need somebody to guide me through this. And for some of you, you're like, I wouldn't even know where to start. And maybe for some of you, never even thought the thought of spring cleaning a calendar. So just a quick reminder that the weekly plan sheet, this is a blank weekly calendar for you if you choose to go that route. This printable is always in the show notes. So you'll see brain drain and weekly plan. It's always at the bottom. There's the same content at the bottom every week. You can find that in the show notes super easily. So if you need a resource, go for it. If you have some kind of planner that you like or calendar, that'll work too. All right, so here's the game. Are you ready? You're going to spring clean your calendar first by literally taking it all off. Yeah, I want you to wipe it clean completely. Now, if you literally have your perfect planner and this gives you anxiety, it's fine. You can play the game, pretend. But I promise you, there's a purpose in it. So take every single thing off. A blank calendar, a blank week. So you're going to do that first. Then you can actually press pause and come back, because here's the story I want to tell you. When I think about spring cleaning my calendar, it legit happened to me and many other people back in 2020. Anybody remember that season? Specifically March of 2020, March into April. And as many of you know now the story, my daughter Maddie gave me a journal that Christmas. And it's this thoughtful journal. I have a few tabs in here, but it's this kind of orange journal that she gave me. And because she gave it to me, I felt like come January 1st, 2020, I should probably write in it. And I've loved this journal. They actually don't make the journal anymore, which makes me want to cry. However, I've started teasing. All is not lost. So just stick with me the next couple months. You'll see what I have planned for us. But I loved this journal because I didn't feel like I had to journal every day. It was not overwhelming whatsoever. And I now have a journal of that fateful year. So I'm not going to go into everything about it, but I do have it tabbed to the week of March 16th through March 23rd. March 16th was the last day my kids went to school, and March 17th was the first day they were home with me. I documented it on my social media, 50 days of Brigham Academy. And I decided I needed to stop at 50 days because I didn't know if it was going to be 500 days. Like, when do you stop? Enough was enough. So I posted what we did every day. It was my therapy. And this journal was also my therapy. So I wanted to find this. I dug it out and I wanted to read to you. I'll read you a couple of things. And if you're listening and not watching, it's perfectly fine. I promise, again, you're not going to miss anything. So let me just read the journal side. And the way this journal works, by the way, on the left-hand side are your intentions. They're your weekly high, your weekly low, and then you rate the week. On the right-hand side is just one blank lined piece of paper where you just journal throughout the week. You don't have to journal a line a day. It's just when you feel led. Okay, so here we go. This is what it says. I'm just going to read it to you. Wiped clean. Everything I had on my calendar is wiped clean. What a strange feeling. No one can say they are too busy anymore. The interesting side will be when we can start adding things back in. What will I add? I think people will be way more intentional and purposeful of what's most important. I'm trying not to panic over my business and finances, as well as that of my girls, my team, and even that of strangers. My heart hurts for so many. The bright side, I asked my team and my clients how I could pray for them, and now I have dozens I can pray for. And by the way, it's now like in the hundreds. I have a prayer list in my note sections in my phone that came from this. We have found daily joy through schedules. So I did have like a general schedule for us since we didn't have school. A color of the day. My kids wear uniforms to school. We're like, we don't even know what to wear. And obviously they weren't going to wear their uniforms. So we just picked a color of the day. And one day it was even camouflage and jean and whatever. Staying busy, playing games, doing schoolwork, having chores, some structure, some flexibility. We will make it through. That was what I journaled for that week. And on the left-hand side where it said my intentions, my first intention was cleaning and purging. More of that, less panic. So talk about spring cleaning, episode 1 from last time, right? More reassuring. I'm guessing I was reassuring myself and those around me, less worry. More praying and less stress. More laughing and less come aparts. I called it at the time my corona come apart. Remember when we called it the coronavirus? My intentions for the week were tasks that I'd been wanting to tackle, including cleaning, purging, organizing, one space at a time. Does that sound familiar? One space at a time. The second was scheduling our days, having some kind of schedule, keeping us busy, productive, feeling confident, having lovely distractions. And then my third was pivoting, pivoting, pivoting. People that stay positive and creative will emerge from this stronger, is what I said. I don't even remember writing this. And then I rated my week, and this is a whole nother episode on emotional management, but I rated my week. You rate it on a scale of 1 to 10. And I said, sometimes it feels like a 0, but I choose 10. If I go back for the weeks prior, I was like, I choose 10. Or no, I wrote 10, 10, 10. It wasn't I choose. 10, 10, 10, 10. This was the first week that I wrote, I choose 10. I choose it. All right, I'm going to flip to a couple pages here. If you're listening, you can hear me flip that I have marked. Here's a couple other journal entries. See, told you. You get a peek into my brain on this podcast. I said, I want to be careful that I don't replace my former busy with a new busy. That would not be stewarding this time well. My personality wants to constantly be accomplishing things and being productive, but if I don't choose to appreciate the slowdown and stillness, I know I haven't fully appreciated what God is doing now. I don't want to realize later that there was a once in a lifetime possibility of a pause and a reset button. I think we can still use this time to be faithful to what we can and should be doing, but not filling it and wishing it away. I want to honor my family, my team, and come out of this with more faith, trust, humbleness, more grounded, more loving, and less stressed or burdened. And then the last one that I'll flip to. So that, by the way, was on April 6th through the 13th that I wrote that. And then finally on April 20th through the 27th. I thought you might find this interesting. I said, now is the time to get 8 hours of sleep a night. I guess I didn't realize I have it deep down inside of me, this concept of sleep. So if you have missed that, that is episode 38, which was kind of accidental that we got onto it from episode 36, where we started to talk about evening routines. And then it's like radically changed my life. But I guess I was starting back then and I forgot. I said, let's see what happens after 1 week. What an unusually unique time when one can try new healthy habits and routines. I put Wednesday, not so good so far, more like 6 hours. I'll keep trying. And then I said, yeah, maybe I should reset that goal to making sure I nap every day instead. Haha. And then I wrote, I've been hearing multiple people follow my lead on what if this is the new normal? It's a much healthier way to cope, and it's been a huge help. So I started to think, instead of I want things to go back to the way they were, I started to reframe my brain of if this is how it's going to be, how can I make it through? How can I make it good? How can I make it beautiful? And then I just finished up by saying, finally got my 8 hours on Friday night. So I guess I went through a whole week and I didn't. Glorious. Let's keep the streak going. And then I just said a few more things on here. And I also wrote, I choose 10. And at that point, a few weeks into it, instead of at the end of the week saying, I choose 10, on Monday morning, I would write, I choose 10 for the coming week. Okay. So I wanted to share those journal entries with you. That was some serious spring cleaning. I had no intention, but I remember deleting everything off of my calendar, trips that I had planned, events that I had, meetings, school events, sports for the kids, all wiped clean. And then as things started coming back into my life, I had a decision. Do I want this on my calendar or not? I don't know about you, but sometimes I look at my week and I go, who planned this? Who is the person? It's me. It's me that did it. So if we're feeling underwater, who is the person that put all of this on our schedule? Now, granted, there's always going to be some exceptions, some things that other people have, or maybe a circumstance. But at the end of the day, we do have control over our schedule. So I want you to come back to your blank calendar. And I want you to imagine, if you want to, you don't have to imagine it's 2020. I get that. That's a bit extreme. But what would you add back in? You know, you could categorize the items, the things that you took off, categorize that maybe with a plus, a minus, or an equal sign. A plus is something that brings you joy, or it is profitable, or it's something that you love to do, you're good at, you look forward to. A minus sign is something that you absolutely drains you, or you avoid, but you have to do it. Or an equal sign is something just neutral. You can also go back and listen to the delegation episode. That's 28. Maybe there's things on your calendar that really could be put on somebody else's. What a fascinating exercise it is. See, the thing is, with spring cleaning your calendar, I don't think it's enough to just nitpick at it. You know, a couple different things. I'm going to rearrange. I really think you have to start fresh, literally from zero. Then you get to decide, is this valuable enough? Does this serve my goals, my needs, my family's needs, that I'm going to give it priority? I'm going to honor it. I'm going to honor myself. It gets to be on my calendar. I mean, what a difference, right? Like, hello, you get to be part of my life, that you're speaking to whatever activity that it is. It's time to design the life of your dreams. And speaking of, what I want you to do is start with your sleep. Isn't that crazy that 4 years ago, I was thinking about sleep and how good it felt to finally have some time where I could set that first. And then how quickly life has changed. But now I'm back. Now I'm back. So start with sleep. That's the first thing I want you to put on your calendar. I mean, of course, I get it. You can put your faith things and your quiet time. But honestly, I want you to put your sleep first. Then you can decide what time does my quiet time happen? What time is my morning routine? And you work backwards. Just a couple last little things I want to share with you. I was having a coaching session with a client this summer, and we had a really fascinating, also little practical exercise that we did. She was feeling overwhelmed. She's got two little toddlers. She has a social media business. She also works in ministry, and it was just a lot. Plus, it's summer, so the kids are just there. They are so there, and they want lots of snacks and they want lots of mommy time. And her husband works, of course, outside of the home. So it all falls on her, even though she works. She works at home, and many of us can relate to that. And she was feeling completely stressed out, completely overwhelmed, completely ready to just crack. And the exercise I did with her is something similar. I said, I want you to imagine, let's take all of those off of your plate. Now, this is just pretend, no more job, no more ministry. You can't really get rid of the kids, so I guess they're still there. But I want you to remove these things that are feeling overwhelming, that are feeling like you just can't do it all. Just take them off. Take them off. And it was on Zoom, and I was watching her face. And I knew that one of two things were going to happen. This was the first time I've ever done this with anybody. I knew that she was either going to breathe a sigh of relief and say, oh. She was even talking to her husband. Is this something, should I just quit my job? Like, I love it, but should I just quit it? And her husband said, you need to talk to Callie about it in your coaching session. So that's what we were doing, through some tears, right? And so I didn't know if she was going to have a sense of relief, like, oh, thank goodness, that really solves it. Or again, with the ministry, that maybe it's just not time. I can still serve the Lord, but I just may not in these hours of this day. But what happened actually is once those were removed, she didn't want them to be removed. She wanted them in her schedule. She didn't know that for sure for 100 until they weren't there. So sometimes that's why this is such a valuable exercise, that you pull it all off and then you say, ooh, what am I missing? What's making me feel like, oh no, I don't want to give that up. And again, I call that cradling instead of juggling. Which are the things that you want to create, that you want to cradle, that are that important to you? So once she realized, I don't want to quit my job, I don't want to quit the ministry, and I've got these kids, what are we going to do? And you know how we started to solve that? Well, she solved that. She solved it. But we started to work through the how can I. So if I want to still be the present mom and I still want to, then how can I? And if you need a refresher, episode 30 is the how can I conversation. And that's what she did. Came up with some really creative ideas, some ideas that utilized her husband in different times of the week. She rearranged her schedule a little bit so that when there was moments and hours that she knew for sure the kids really wanted mommy, she was able to be mommy then and then work at maybe times she hadn't thought of. She had conversations with her boss. She realized the priority that she had in different seasons, and she was able to navigate beautifully this summer. And I like to say a woman really just wants two things, it all, right? Guys do too. So that is the practice of this spring cleaning concept for spring cleaning your calendar. Take it all away on purpose. Take it all away. Give yourself the gift of then saying, what am I going to put back? It's kind of like my friend Emily, who does the organization. When she cleans out a pantry, I've seen her do this. When she cleans out a pantry, she doesn't just move things around. She doesn't just stack things differently. She doesn't just organize. She takes literally everything out. And then she puts back what is probably still has an accurate expiration date, right? She puts things back. She can do that once she has clarity and once she has a clean canvas in which to do that. And that is a beautiful thing to be able to do with your calendar. And maybe you need to do spring cleaning with your calendar, summer cleaning with your calendar, fall, because it does change based on the different seasons of your life. I do want to bring up that I've been asked pretty frequently now. If I do coaching like I did with that client of mine, not officially in this season for me, if you do want to reach out, you can reach out to me in my DMs. You can go to calliebrigham.com and message me through there. I'll pray about it. We'll see. So I do want to mention that because I've gotten some requests for it and I just wanted to paint that with a broad brush. Maybe that's something that I would be willing to add to my calendar if God leads me in that way. Okay, so just a reminder, the link to the weekly plan is in the show notes. And I just think this is going to be another sacred practice for you. I hope that you're starting to realize that there is some peace in this. There's some control actually in this. There is some opportunity to make some decisions that bring value to you. All right, who's with me? Spring cleaning your calendar, pressing pause on it all, and then deciding what gets to have your time and attention. You get to decide. All right, I look forward to hearing how this makes an impact on your schedule. Thanks for listening. Who knows? There might be a spring cleaning episode 3 coming at you next week. We'll just see where the Spirit leads on that too. All right. God bless you. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for joining me on the TikTok podcast. Please subscribe, rate, and leave a 5-star review. Your feedback fuels our mission to help you master your time. Set your alarm for our next episode, and until then, make every moment count.